The Neil Balkwill Civic Arts Centre closing could be on the list of possible cuts for the city's council budget debate, which is upcoming next month. Now, the Art Gallery of Regina is located in the centre. It's more than 50 years old, independent and free admission art gallery in the city. The closure of the centre isn't the only cut that could be affected. The elimination of the Community Investment Grant Program also on the list. Sandy Moore is the curator and director of the Art Gallery of Regina, and Sandy joins me now in studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Adam.
So, Sandy, when you saw this list, I know we've heard from quite a few people now that were pretty shocked by it. What was your reaction?
I mean, I think shocked is the word. And yeah, it really is. I think also, as you know, this budget package was 800 pages long, and some of these drastic steps taken to reduce the property taxes and the city's expenses are, quite buried hundreds of pages deep. So you really have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb to find things like totally eliminating the community investment grant programs and closing the Neil Balkwill Civic Arts Centre.
So let's start with the investment program. For people that aren't familiar, what does it do?
A community investment grant program encompasses a wide number of grants. I actually wrote it down because we access only a small little piece of this. So it includes culture, social development, recreation, and sport. So all of the nonprofit and charitable organizations that benefit from these grants.
How does your organization benefit from it?
Right. The City of Regina, we get what's called a community partner grant, and that pays that. We apply for it. It's a competitive process, and that gives us some money towards our operating. And, I do want to make it clear that, these grants is not the only thing that nonprofits and charitable organizations subsist upon. Generally, we have many levels of funding, civic, provincial, federal, as well as foundations and individuals. And, it's important to have all those pieces of funding because, we can leverage a city grant, for example, to get other funding to support the organization, and that goes for every organization.
So the investment grant program, one thing that's, and this is all potential. We talked about this yesterday when we talked about the Floral Conservatory, that none of this is finalized, of course. When it comes to the Neil Balkwill Civic Arts Centre, can you tell us a bit about what the centre does, what it provides to the city?
Sure. So, I don't work for this Neil Balkwill Civic Arts Centre, but that's the landlord for the Art Gallery of Regina. And the Neil Balkwill Civic Arts Centre is an ongoing education facility for adults and children, and it provides facilities and instruction at a very high level and things that you wouldn't have access to elsewhere. So part of my job as a curator is traveling to other places, meeting with artists. Artists in much bigger cities than Regina are very envious that we have this facility where you could learn fine woodworking and have access to this well-equipped wood shop, that you could learn jewelry making, stained glass, 3D printing with these 3D printers. So there's a lot of things that, like I said, if this center is shuttered and, we would lose access to, these things that make a difference in a lot of people's lives. And not too long ago, there was actually a report generated by the City of Regina talking about expanding the Neil Balkwill Centre because it's operating at capacity. People want more, actually, not less.
And so let's get to the Art Gallery of Regina with the work you do. And you mentioned that Neil Balkwill is where you're centered. Tell us about the work of the Art Gallery of Regina.
Right. The Art Gallery of Regina, as you mentioned, we've been around for over 50 years, previously called the Rosemont Art Gallery. And we present exhibitions by professional artists that are free to the public. And we do lots of free programming as well. So we do tours for schools. We have a program that we operate in collaboration with Listen to Dis that is accessible gallery tours for adults with complex physical needs that are also co-developed and co-led by people who live with disabilities. And everything that we do is, it's free to the public for the majority of of it. And, the value of art in our lives and in our city, it's profound. It's intangible. There's sometimes a lot of demand that, investment in the arts should pay back, with a dividend in dollars. But, the social well-being, seeing your experiences represented, understanding the world in new ways, and also making Regina an attractive place to be. I moved here from Vancouver, and one of the things that drew me to Regina was our vivid and a cultural community here.
And Sandy, if the center were to close, how would that affect the art gallery?
It would be pretty difficult, especially since, we're talking about the 2026 budget, so this could be, impacting organizations like the Art Gallery of Regina really soon. And, it would be really difficult to find new premises. The gallery space that we have inside the Neil Balkwill Centre, it was built to be a gallery. We've also invested a lot into that space. We've received federal grants to, make that a space that really honors the presentation of artworks with, galleries are very specific spaces. We don't want anything to detract from the artworks. So it would be really difficult to move to a new location and find a facility like the one we have, which is also physically accessible. That's also really important.
And it's in a great location for people that don't know. It's right on Les Sherman Park and centrally located in Regina. This budget process now, and the city has changed the way it's doing it and the way it's rolling it out. It's making it more transparent. So part of the reason we're having this conversation is because they've put out there possibilities, which allows you the chance to, I guess, react to in the media, react in the community, and then also speak to council and speak to administration. What's the plan going forward?
So as you mentioned, the city has been very forthright putting this out there. I've already spoken with my city councillor, and I've registered to be a speaker at the budget presentation on December 15th. And the art gallery is, urging folks, along with our friends at Saskatchewan Arts Alliance, to be in contact with your city councillor. Let them know what you care about, what you don't want them to cut. The city calls these options, and I think what the city really is hoping is to hear from people what you want, what you value. And I'll also kind of mention, when we look at, people get afraid about paying more taxes. When I look at the grant that the Art Gallery of Regina receives annually from the Community Partner Grant Program, it amounts to less than 30 cents per person in Regina. So think about, what cutting an organization that's got over 50 years of history means in terms of like the dollars that you yourself are putting into it. It's so minimal. And I think that, the Art Gallery of Regina, all nonprofits are also experiencing rising costs that the city is experiencing also. So we're already operating with such thin margins. If we lose any funding or any advantage like our space, it's really going to cause a crisis that could mean organizations closing, loss of jobs, and ultimately that'll be loss of revenue for the city and our local economy.
Sandy, really appreciate you coming in and talking about this with us today. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me.